All right, there's a new Substack post on the 11 Demands Substack called We Can Do Better. And it gets into kind of this discussion of where do we go from here and how do we get to that point of having a better world. All right, new Substack post. Dun, dun, dun. So this is from the 11 Demands Substack, which you can get to through 11demands.org. It's not hard to find, but it's called We Can Do Better. So there's this key question in kind of leftist circles, we could say, about which of the core problems should we focus on, whether should we be focusing on capitalism or corruption? Which should we focus on? Which should we lead with? So capitalism is certainly a core problem. And as long as it's allowed to control our economy, society, and government, things are going to keep sliding from bad to worse. We can do better than capitalism. We have to. It's a matter of survival. Calling out the faults of capitalism is always warranted and necessary. But that in and of itself is not enough. Whether we like it or not, the vast majority of Americans are not ready to support and end capitalism movement. There is, however, something that the majority will strongly support, and the corruption. This gets into figuring out the pathway to real change. And it's important to distinguish, when getting into these things, to distinguish between economy and government. One can say that a capitalist economy is inherently corrupt and nothing can be done to reform that. Fair enough. But what about government? These days, the way things work these days, it's really hard to imagine, even get it into our heads, even the idea of a government that is not thoroughly corrupt and operating in the interests of the billionaires and the mega corporations, not in our interests like it's supposed to. But the key thing is, it doesn't have to be this way. And the key here is democracy, real democracy. It's in one person, one vote, not the democracy of dollars that we're suffering in currently. And this is also the pathway to fixing the capitalism problem. Rather than boosting the worst abuses of immoral corporations, a decorrupted government working for that 99% would rein in the billionaires and we get us on track toward a truly democratized economy. But how do we get there? We need to spark a movement that is based on clear demands with a strong focus on corruption. Ending the corruption is a popular message with overwhelming support from both the left and the right, whatever those are, but from both kinds of ideologies. Having a clear set of demands is crucial for keeping that kind of movement on track. So see 11demands.org for the list of demands, the strategies, and more. And let's be the spark that ignites real change. And as I said here, you can find this stuff and more at 11demands.org. Here it comes. The core website for this. There's the demands, which gets into all the key parts of all this: healthcare, standard of living, economy, and the wars, racial and criminal justice reform, climate emergency, censorship is a big one, immigration reform, abolish ICE. I think that one's, all of a sudden gaining popularity. But the point here is to have a movement that demands things like abolish ICE before it gets to these kinds of critical levels of goons in our streets just taking down whoever they want. An election system we can trust. It's important, obviously, that the elections work. Taxation and funding is huge as far as how the money works. And then democratize the enterprise gets into the future of what a real democratically run and controlled economy for the 99% would look like. So like I said, 11demands.org. That's our readout for tonight. And so to get there, it's really going to need, the reason I call it out as a mass movement is that it's going to need people. It's going to need numbers. If we can get large numbers of people literally in the streets doing strikes, mutual aid actions, backed by a clear set of demands, some real things can happen. If we don't get those kind of numbers, then it's not going to happen. It really comes down to that. So that's why I say we all need to think about what we can do to be that kind of a spark to make something like that happen.